You are about to cross into a world where fear is real. Real stories, unexplained phenomena, where the supernatural lurks in the shadows. From the portal of dread.
Today's story, the teacher discovers the secret of heaven. Hello, haunting visitors. Welcome to the portal of dread. Prepare to cross the threshold between the real and the inexplicable. Dim the lights, don your headphones, and get comfortable. Because tonight, together, we embark on a new chapter of terror. Are you ready for the unknown? Then like, subscribe, and leave a comment saying, "I'm not afraid." Now let's begin. Have you ever had the unsettling feeling that the sky is watching you? What if I told you that in a forgotten village nestled deep within the Amazon rainforest, the stars began to shift on their own? And what if children started drawing symbols no one had ever taught them? This story is real, and it begins with a teacher, a village, and whispers that emanate from nowhere. But beware, some cosmic truths once heard cannot be unheard. In the tranquil village of São Mateus, in the interior of Pavor, the year 2024 commenced with a subtle, almost imperceptible anomaly. The nocturnal sky, once a familiar mantle of known constellations, began to display minor yet disquieting alterations. The stars appeared slightly displaced, as if unseen fingers had rearranged them, forming patterns that defied all astronomical logic. Initially, the inhabitants ascribed the phenomenon to fatigue, an overactive imagination, or at most, some unusual atmospheric disturbance. However, as the weeks progressed, the peculiarity intensified and a murmur of apprehension began to permeate the village. And it wasn't merely the stars. Faint, indistinct whispers started to be heard in the stillness of the night. These were voices that seemed to emanate from nowhere and everywhere at once, murmuring promises of knowledge and power to those willing to heed them. Most residents attempted to disregard them, drowning out the whispers with the din of the television or with fervent prayers. Yet some more inquisitive, or perhaps more vulnerable, began to pay heed, allowing themselves to be ensnared by the whispered words. Anna, a young teacher newly arrived in the village of São Mateus, was among the first to discern that something profoundly amiss was occurring. Her students, small and innocent children, began exhibiting peculiar behavior. During drawing lessons, instead of houses, trees, or animals, they would doodle the same bizarre forms Anna had observed in the nocturnal sky. And when queried about what they were drawing, they merely smiled, with an unsettling glint in their eyes, and whispered, "The stars are beckoning." At first, Anna dismissed it as a mere phase, a childish fancy. But as more and more students began sketching the same peculiar shapes, and as the nocturnal whispers grew louder and more insistent, her concern deepened. Something sinister was insidious in its infiltration of St. Matthew's village, something that defied human comprehension and seemed to exert a terrifying power over people's minds. And Anna knew that, left unchecked, this obscure force threatened to consume the entire village. Have you ever felt an inexplicable chill crawl up your spine, as if an unseen presence were observing you? Have you ever awoken in the dead of night with the lingering sensation that a nightmare still stalks you, even after your eyes have opened? Imagine then that this fear, this anguish were to materialize. Imagine the gloom lurking in the corners of your home gaining sentience. The whispers you dismiss in the nocturnal silence transforming into distinct voices, murmuring secrets you would rather have remained forever unheard. Can you perceive the gravitas of an ancient gaze, something that exists beyond our comprehension, something that surveys Earth with ravenous eyes? Can you conceive of the sound of stars in motion, of constellations unraveling and reforming into patterns that defy the very logic of the cosmos? What if I told you this terror isn't merely a figment of your imagination? What if I told you there exists a place, a tangible locale, where these occurrences are unfolding right now? Sense the damp scent of the dense forest, the incessant murmur of winding rivers, the oppressive heat enveloping you like a suffocating embrace. Envision the stillness of the night, disturbed only by the distant call of a nocturnal bird, and the unceasing hum of mosquitoes. Yet beneath these familiar sounds, discern a subtle murmur, a constant thrumming that seems to emanate from within your own mind. It is the voice of the unknown beckoning you. What if the reality you perceive were merely a thin veneer, a fragile illusion concealing unimaginable horrors? What if, behind this facade, there existed a vast, indifferent cosmos teeming with ancient entities and inconceivable powers? Would you possess the fortitude to lift this mask? Would you possess the resolve to confront the terror lurking beyond reality's veil? Do you possess the courage to uncover the what happened in São Mateus? Ana Clara, at 28, was the embodiment of hope amidst the simplicity of São Mateus village. With brown hair always tied back in a practical bun, observant green eyes, and a smile that brightened any room, she had traded the bustle of the capital for the tranquility of the countryside, seeking a greater purpose in educating the community's children. Her routine was simple yet fulfilling. She woke to the sound of birds, brewed strong coffee, and headed to the small wooden schoolhouse where she taught students of various ages, all eager to learn. In the afternoons, she devoted herself to community projects, such as revitalizing the local library and organizing cultural activities for the residents. São Mateus village, nestled in the heart of the Amazon, was a place where time seemed to decelerate. Surrounded by a dense and lush forest, crisscrossed by winding rivers that meandered through the landscape, the village breathed the tranquility of nature. The climate was hot and humid, with frequent rains that kept the vegetation perpetually green and vibrant. Social life was characterized by solidarity and unity, where everyone knew and assisted one another. The residents, predominantly fishermen, farmers, and artisans, lived in harmony with nature, respecting its cycles and its mysteries. However, even amidst such beauty and tranquility, subtle signs of anomaly began to emerge, like fissures in a flawless facade. The behavior of the animals, for instance, had become erratic. Dogs barked incessantly at the night sky, monkeys retreated deeper into the forest at unusual hours, and fish refused to bite the fishermen's bait. Furthermore, some residents reported strange, vivid, and disturbing dreams that left them uneasy and apprehensive. One of the things Ana most cherished about São Mateus was the night sky. Far from the light pollution of cities, the stars shone with breathtaking intensity, forming a celestial spectacle that captivated her. But in recent weeks, she had noticed something amiss. The constellations, which she had known so intimately since childhood, seemed subtly out of place, as if an invisible hand had shifted them. It was a subtle change, almost imperceptible. Yet it left her with an unsettling feeling, as though something fundamental was unraveling. And then, there were the whispers. At first, she thought it was merely the wind rustling through the trees or the sound far from the river. But over time, she began to perceive them as voices, whispering words in an unknown tongue that seemed to emanate from within her own mind. The words were vague and indistinct, yet imbued with an irresistible promise. The promise of knowledge, of power, of a profound understanding of the universe's mysteries. Ana strove to disregard the whispers, but they grew progressively louder and more insistent, as if something were endeavoring to lure her into a dark, uncharted abyss. The tranquility of São Mateus, once a sanctuary, began to morph into a silent snare. In the village's dusty library, amid forgotten tomes and stacks of time-yellowed documents, Ana discovered an ancient diary, bound in worn leather and bearing almost illegible script. It was the property of an aged missionary, Father Antonio, who had resided in São Mateus in the early 20th century. The yellowed pages disclosed not only the community's daily routines, but also disquieting accounts of ancestral rituals practiced by the indigenous peoples of the region. These rituals involved invocations to cosmic entities, beings of unimaginable power that dwelled in the universe's abyssal depths. Father Antonio horrifyingly described the discovery of strange symbols etched into the stones and trees of the forest, symbols that appeared to commune with the stars. He believed these symbols were portals, gateways to other dimensions through which these cosmic entities could exert influence upon the world. The missionary spoke of an agent of chaos, a creature of pure energy that subsisted on human fear and madness, capable of warping reality and manipulating the minds of individuals. The diary revealed that the ancestral rituals had been curtailed by the arrival of the missionaries, who deemed the practices pagan and demonic. However, Father Antonio harbored fears that the abrupt cessation of the rituals had merely lulled the agent of chaos into dormancy rather than vanquishing it. He believed the entity lingered, awaiting the opportune moment to awaken and reclaim its dominion. Local lore, whispered among the village elders, spoke of a time when the heavens parted and beings of light descended upon earth, bringing with them knowledge and power. Yet these beings also ushered in darkness, madness, and death. The legend posited that when the stars aligned in an anomalous configuration and the whispers grew deafening, the agent of chaos would return to reclaim its dominion. Anna felt a chill ran down her spine upon reading the final pages of the diary. Father Antonio warned of the signs of the agent of chaos: return, the animal's strange behavior, the disturbing dreams, the whispers in the night, and most notably, the misalignment of the stars. Anna realized that all these signs were present in São Mateus. Fear constricted her heart, but the determination to protect the village propelled her to continue her investigation. Have you ever heard of this legend? Do you believe it could be real? What if what is happening in São Mateus is merely the harbinger of something far greater, something that could threaten humanity's very existence? The truth lurks in the shadows, waiting to be revealed. But beware, for the truth might be more terrifying than you imagine. The first tangible manifestation of cosmic terror in São Mateus occurred on a new moon night, when darkness hung heavy over the village. Anna was returning home after a long night of research at the library, feeling the weight of her discoveries about ancient rituals and the agent of chaos, whom she now internally referred to as the celestial corruptor. The air was strangely still, devoid of the usual breath of the Amazonian breeze, and an oppressive silence hung over the forest. Suddenly, a piercing, dissonant sound cut through the silence, like the cry of a wounded animal, yet amplified to a terrifying scale. Anna froze, her heart pounding in her chest. The sound echoed throughout the village, coming from all directions at once, as if it resonated within her own mind. The house windows rattled, dogs howled in unison, and the village lights flickered erratically. The sound ceased as abruptly as it had begun, leaving behind an even more disquieting silence. Anna took a deep breath, attempting to rein in the fear that paralyzed her. She knew she couldn't stand idly by. She needed to discover what was happening. Equipped with only a dim flashlight, she ventured through the village's darkened streets. As she approached the church, Anna noticed a peculiar light emanating from within. The door stood ajar, and a bluish glow pulsed inside, illuminating the stone walls with a spectral light. Hesitantly, she pushed the door open and entered the church. What she beheld left her breathless. The altar was covered in arcane symbols, etched with a luminous substance that glowed intensely. In the center of the altar, a sphere of cerulean light hovered, pulsating rhythmically like a cosmic heart. A low, persistent thrum emanated from the sphere, a vibration that seemed to resonate deep within her bones. Abruptly, the sphere expanded, engulfing the entire church in a blinding luminescence. Anna instinctively shut her eyes, shielding herself from the intense glare. When she finally reopened them, the sphere had vanished, and the symbols on the altar had faded. The church was once again plunged into darkness. Yet an undeniable shift had occurred. A profound chill pervaded the church, and Anna felt an unsettling sensation of being watched from the shadows. She discerned a faint, almost inaudible whisper, seemingly emanating from all directions simultaneously. The whisper uttered her name, its intonation laden with an unsettling blend of promise and menace. Petrified, Anna fled the church, stumbling and falling to the ground before scrambling back to her feet and racing home without a single glance behind her. Upon reaching her house, she bolted every door and window, then cowered in her bed, convulsing with terror. She knew the celestial corruptor had arrived in São Mateus, and that her life would irrevocably change. Something was observing her, something was beckoning her, and the encroaching darkness seemed to draw ever nearer. The night in the church marked a pivotal turning point. Her fear, once diffuse, was now a palpable, constant presence that dogged her every step. Anna knew she could not simply hide. She needed to confront whatever was unfolding in São Mateus. The immediate priority was to seek assistance, to find someone who could truly comprehend what she was experiencing. She recalled Father Elias, the village's parish priest, a man of unwavering faith and serene demeanor. Perhaps he could offer some explanation, some much-needed guidance. The following morning, Anna sought out the priest at the small rectory adjacent to the church. Father Elias greeted her with a warm, welcoming smile, yet Anna detected a subtle shadow of concern in his eyes. Anna recounted everything that had transpired: the unsettling drawings by the students, the disquieting whispers in the night, the dissonant sound, the enigmatic light in the church, and the pervasive sensation of being watched. Father Elias listened intently without interruption, his countenance growing progressively grimmer. At the conclusion of her narrative, he sighed deeply and stated, "Anna, what you have related to me is exceedingly grave. Something malevolent has awakened in São Mateus, something that lies beyond the realm of our understanding." Father Elias then revealed that he too had observed the unsettling signs in the village: the restless animals, the disquieting dreams, the altered night sky. He had delved into the church archives, unearthing accounts of analogous events from yesteryear. Apparently, São Mateus served as a nexus for ancient energies, a locale where the veil between the material and spiritual realms was particularly attenuated. The priest recounted the legend of the Agent of Chaos, which he referred to as the Celestial Corruptor, a cosmic entity that subsisted on human fear and madness. He elaborated that the Celestial Corruptor possessed the ability to manipulate reality, warp human minds, and tear open conduits to other dimensions. He surmised that the entity had been awakened by some undisclosed event and was poised to assert its dominion over São Mateus. Father Elias also brought up an elderly fisherman, João, who resided in seclusion within a riverside shack. João was widely regarded as an eccentric, a recluse who shunned human interaction. Nonetheless, the priest held the conviction that João possessed profound insight into the forest's enigmas and the forces at play within São Mateus. He suggested Anna seek out João, intimating that he might offer some succor. Anna, heartened by the priest's counsel, resolved to heed his suggestion. She recognized the perilous nature of the journey, but was prepared to risk everything to liberate São Mateus from the celestial corruptor. Nightfall approached, bringing with it both encroaching darkness and insidious whispers. Yet Anna was no longer solitary. Now she possessed an ally in the struggle against the unknown. What is your theory on this? The trek to João's shack proved to be an ordeal. The forest, once a sanctuary of natural splendor, now seemed hostile and menacing. The trees writhed into grotesque forms. Shadows danced ominously, and the air hung heavy with an oppressive energy. Anna felt as though she were being scrutinized by unseen eyes, as if the forest itself were sentient and acutely aware of her presence. The path was steep and treacherous, causing Anna to stumble with every stride. The whispers, previously faint, now grew louder and more insistent, murmuring her name with a seductive yet menacing cadence. She endeavored to disregard them, but they appeared to insinuate themselves into her mind, whispering doubts, fears, and promises of power. Abruptly, the ground beneath her feet gave way, and Anna plummeted into a deep pit, concealed by a deceptive layer of leaves and branches. She screamed, but the sound was utterly swallowed by the dense forest. She attempted to ascend, but the pit's depth rendered escape impossible. In desperation, she activated her flashlight, casting its beam into the abyss below. The sight that met her gaze elicited a shriek of unadulterated horror. The bottom of the pit was strewn with human remains, some ancient and crumbling, others distressingly fresh and still blood-soaked. Anna realized with chilling clarity that she had stumbled into a macabre sepulchre, a grim repository where the celestial corruptor discarded its victims. Abruptly, a guttural voice reverberated from the depths of the pit. "You should not be here, little teacher," the voice rumbled. "This domain belongs to the celestial corruptor. Soon, you shall belong as well." Anna glanced upward to discern a shadowy figure silhouetted against the pit's precipice. The figure was gaunt and towering, its form characterized by unsettlingly luminous red eyes and a truly ghastly grin. She recognized the visage of the man she had encountered at the church, the very individual who had whispered her name. "Who are you?" Anna managed to stammer, her voice utterly bereft of steadiness. "I am but a humble minion," the man countered, "a minion of the celestial corruptor. My purpose here is to usher you into his presence." The man descended into the pit with an unsettling agility, closing the distance to Anna. She attempted to resist, yet his strength proved overwhelming. He seized her arms in a vice-like grip, then inexorably dragged her deeper into the pit, towards the encroaching gloom. As she was forcibly pulled along, Anna's gaze caught sight of something glinting faintly in the pit's depths. It was a diminutive wooden amulet, bearing an arcane symbol etched upon its surface. Anna immediately recognized the emblem. It was identical to the one she had previously observed in Father Antonio's journal. The very sigil signifying warding against the celestial corruptor. With a surge of superhuman resolve, Anna wrenched free from the man's tenacious grasp and seized the amulet. The instant her fingers closed around the amulet, a palpable surge of energy coursed through her being, utterly banishing the tendrils of fear and enervating weakness. She felt a burgeoning, formidable power suffuse her, a strength that now emboldened her to confront the celestial corruptor. The man shrieked in agony and reeled backward, as if violently jolted by a bolt of lightning. Anna capitalized on the opportune moment to scramble up the pit's walls, employing the amulet as a vital purchase. With one final desperate exertion, she successfully extricated herself from the pit and fled back into the dense embrace of the forest. As she sprinted, Anna discerned the man's enraged shriek reverberating in her wake. She knew he would pursue her, that the celestial corruptor would not let her escape so easily. But now, she possessed a weapon, a glimmer of hope. The wooden amulet was the key to defeating the celestial corruptor and saving St. Matthew from the encroaching darkness. Joan's dwelling, nestled amidst gnarled roots and dangling vines, exuded the scent of damp earth and dried herbs. The door groaned as it swung open, revealing an interior dimly lit by flickering candles, where herbs suspended from the ceiling and earthenware pots filled with arcane concoctions forged a mystical ambiance. Joan, a man whose face was etched with the passage of time and whose eyes seemed to harbor the wisdom of the forest, awaited Anna perched on a wooden stool. He knew she would come. Directly, Anna showed Joan the amulet, recounting the previous night's events. Joan scrutinized the amulet intently, his calloused fingers tracing the symbol etched into the wood. "This amulet is a shield against the celestial corruptor," Joan said, his voice hoarse. "But it is not sufficient to vanquish him. We must find the fount of his power, the locus where he converges with our world." Joan explained that the celestial corruptor manifested through a portal, a rift in reality that opened in a specific locale within the forest. To close the portal, an ancient ritual had to be performed, utilizing a sacred artifact concealed within the ruins of an ancient indigenous village, deep within the heart of the forest. The journey to the ruins was even more perilous than the last. The celestial corruptor, enraged by Anna's defiance, dispatched his minions to intercept them. Shadowy creatures with crimson eyes and razor-sharp talons ambushed them in the gloom, testing the mettle and resolve of Anna and Joan. Finally, after days of arduous travel, they reached the ruins. Time-worn, moss-laden stones attested to the grandeur of a lost civilization. In the center of the ruins, a stone altar stood, where the sacred artifact lay concealed. But the celestial corruptor awaited them, an imposing figure shrouded in shadows and with eyes that gleamed with an icy luminescence materialized before them. "You cannot impede me," said the celestial corruptor, his voice reverberating like thunder. "This world shall be mine." Anna and João braced themselves for the ultimate confrontation. Anna brandished the amulet, feeling the protective energy course through her. João recited ancient incantations, invoking the power of the spirits of the forest. The battle was fierce and brutal. The celestial corruptor hurled bolts of dark energy, while Anna and João bravely and resolutely defended themselves. At the pivotal moment, Anna discerned that the sole method of defeating the celestial corruptor was to utilize the sacred artifact to seal the portal. With a battle cry, she raced toward the altar, deftly evading the celestial corruptor's onslaught. Upon reaching the altar, she seized the artifact, a gleaming crystal pulsing with pure, luminous energy. The instant she made contact with the crystal, Anna felt a profound connection to the universe. She comprehended the celestial corruptor's true nature, its genesis, its purpose. She discerned that fear was its primary weapon, that it fed upon the inherent darkness within people. With a resolute gesture, Anna raised the crystal and hurled it toward the portal. An intense burst of light illuminated the ruins, dispelling the shadows and annihilating the celestial corruptor. The portal sealed shut, mending the rift in reality. The pervasive darkness dissipated, and peace returned to São Mateus. What would you do in this situation? The silence that descended after the final battle was unlike anything Anna had ever experienced. It was not the oppressive, ominous quiet of the preceding days, but rather a silence of peace, of profound relief, as if the very forest itself exhaled in quietude. The morning sun burst forth through the tree canopies, bathing the ruins in a golden light, dispelling the lingering shadows of the night. Anna and João returned to the village of São Mateus, exhausted yet triumphant. The village greeted them with celebration and profound gratitude. The villagers, liberated from the celestial corruptor's malevolent influence, reverted to their former selves, joyful and benevolent. Children once again sketched houses, trees, and animals, and the nocturnal sky reclaimed its familiar splendor. Nevertheless, the ordeal left indelible marks on Anna. She would never be the same again. The vision of cosmic horror, the harrowing battle against the celestial corruptor, the stark revelation of reality's inherent fragility, all these transformed her into something profoundly different. She emerged stronger, wiser, but also acutely aware of the pervasive darkness lurking beneath the world's veneer. Father Elias, upon witnessing her return, embraced her tenderly and declared, "You are a true hero, Anna. You have saved our village from utter destruction." Yet Anna knew the battle was far from over, that the portal had been sealed, yet the rift in reality persisted. The celestial corruptor had been vanquished, but cosmic darkness still lurked in the universe's abyssal depths, awaiting another opportunity to infiltrate our world. Days later, Anna encountered João by the riverbank. He gazed at the sky, his expression distant and contemplative. "The celestial corruptor is gone," João stated, "but others will emerge. There will always be entities seeking to exploit our inherent vulnerabilities, our fears." João divulged that the amulet and the crystal were merely instruments, emblems of a greater power residing within each individual, the power of will, courage, and hope. He elaborated that the true conflict was not against cosmic entities, but rather against the intrinsic darkness dwelling within ourselves. Anna comprehended João's meaning. The genuine menace stemmed not from without, but from within. Fear, doubt, and despair were the celestial corruptor's true armaments. and the sole method to counteract them was by cultivating light, faith, and hope. Before his departure, João presented Ana with a small ancient book bound in leather with yellowed pages. This tome contains the ancestral wisdom of the indigenous peoples. João imparted, "It will instruct you on how to safeguard São Mateus and confront the encroaching darkness." Ana accepted the book with profound gratitude. She recognized that her odyssey had only just commenced. She would become the Guardian of São Mateus, the bulwark against cosmic threats. She would consecrate her life to combating darkness and championing light. Yet, a question lingered in her mind, haunting her during the darkest nights. What if, one day, the darkness proved too potent to be contained? What if, one day, the light itself were extinguished? And you, what would you do? Should cosmic darkness infiltrate your world, would you possess the courage to confront it? Would you command the strength to defend the light? Ponder this. Darkness perpetually lurks. Be prepared. The morning mist hung ethereal over the village of São Mateus, a gossamer veil dancing across the river and interweaving amongst the forest trees. It was a morning like any other, yet for Ana, the air carried a subtle promise, a resonant chord of hope within her heart. The ordeal with the celestial corruptor had undoubtedly left its scars, but it had also forged within her a profound resilience and an unwavering determination. She knew that danger lurked in the shadows, but she also knew that the light of courage and hope could dispel it. In the days that followed, Ana devoted herself to studying the ancient tome João had entrusted to her. The yellowed pages unveiled millennial secrets, teachings on the nature of reality, on the forces that shaped the cosmos, and on the importance of maintaining the equilibrium between light and darkness. She learned about the spirits of the forest, about healing rituals, about the importance of honoring nature and respecting ancestors. Over time, Ana became an esteemed and admired figure in the village of São Mateus. She continued to teach at the school, imparting to her students not only academic knowledge but also the values of solidarity, compassion, and respect for nature. She became a community leader, advocating for the residents' rights and fighting for the forest's preservation. But above all, Ana became the Guardian of São Mateus, the protector against cosmic threats. She learned to discern the signs of peril, detect negative energies, and defend against malevolent influences. She became a warrior of light, combating darkness with the strength of her will and the power of her heart. And so, the village of São Mateus flourished, safeguarded by Ana's courage and wisdom. The forest thrived, the rivers flowed unimpeded, and the residents lived in peace and harmony. But Ana never forgot the lesson she had learned. Darkness always lurks, awaiting an opportunity to strike. For this reason, she remained vigilant, ever ready to defend the light and protect her people. And you, who have heard this tale, what will you do with the knowledge you've gained? Will you cower before fear, or will you rise to defend the light? The choice is yours. Remember, courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the capacity to act in spite of it. And hope is the flame that illuminates the path, even on the darkest nights. Some things exist beyond our comprehension. Sleep well if you can. Thank you for traversing this shadowy night with us at the Portal of Dread. Now tell me, would you have the courage to endure this? Share in the comments if you can sleep tonight. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to receive more spine-tingling stories every week. Sleep well, if you can. Until the next tale, good night, and until the next video from the Portal of Terror.